Michael Balderstone, the president of the Legalise Cannabis Party Australia. Welcome into the weeds, mate.
Good on you.
We're all good. You're on aeroplane mode over there.
Yeah, I am.
You comfortable in the headphones?
So nothing will interrupt us.
No.
Yeah, I never wear headphones. It's trippy, isn't it?
It is,
I mean,
isn't it?
You're the only person in my world.
I know. There's all this mayhem going on. We're in the middle of MardiGrass, which you organise in your head every year. 33 years you've been doing it, and like people wouldn't it's impossible to describe the mayhem going on out on the streets. 4:20 right now. MardiGrass, Nimbin. Michael Balderstone. It's an election night.
What a boasting double barrel.
And Geelong versus
I
Collingwood.
know. 7:30.
It's like
bounce the ball just as you'll say.
all the fun things are happening on the same day, and you're podcasting on Into the Weeds.
I love it.
And it's fantastic to have you here, mate. Look, how did this come to be, mate? Like, where
MardiGrass.
yeah, MardiGrass and you. Like, what was the moment you
Yeah.
went, cannabis? It's a cause worth fighting for.
Nimbin's changed. So it's the 33rd MardiGrass. Like, lots has changed in 30 years. Nimbin's changed. It was a dirt road back then, and not many visitors, and hippie communes and gumbirds. We had such big wet seasons, I remember. Anyway, we had full-on helicopter raids. I remember helicopter raids where it looked like it was military training, coming down ropes, kind of in camo gear, hippie communes for children, animals freaking out. Choppers overhead, it's a noise.
Yeah.
And
And especially when there's armed, cops, militia,
it's a raid.
abseiling
Yeah.
into your house.
It's full PTSD stuff. You need a lot of weed after.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, lucky you were in the right place for it, weren't you?
Anyway, it's Bob Hopkins, who was an early Paradise Valley commune. He lived on Bob Goes Enough, May Day, where you made a poster. We spread everything was poster in those days, no internet. And 700 people came. And we marched from the Bush Theatre onto the pot shop, smoking weed and ringing bells and being full on hippies, and had such a good day. It was, like standing up to the bullies.
Yeah.
You finally do it. And, Bob tried to get himself arrested. And, anyway, we vowed then we're going to do it every year till we're no longer, the weed is free.
And this is 70s, wasn't it? Or was this 80s?
No, this is in the early 90s.
Early 90s.
We started.
Yep.
And, we're
MardiGrass.
25 years into a new century. I can't believe it.
I know.
So 92 or 3.
And that was the beginning of the MardiGrass, the
Yeah.
annual event in Nimbin,
Yeah.
the protests, the celebration, and
there was one cop in town then.
Yep.
So no cops, no saliva testing, and so by the third or fourth year, there's thousands of people coming, and
there's undercover cops.
probably, but no cops.
Yeah.
And one cop who stayed away. And I remember, people would have the blanket on the footpath with little buds with a price, $4. I always remember it was hilarious, beautiful stuff. This is way before hydros happened.
Yep.
So everyone's going outdoors. It's
Outdoor bush.
harvest season.
Yeah.
So
This
we had
is
the
harvest
pickers
in the
ball,
southern hemisphere.
harvest ball.
This
is
is
the harvest season.
It's well timed, isn't it? It's a
was no
it's a
coincidence.
harvest festival
Yeah.
as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and that's changed now with hydro, with people growing cuttings and indoor. It's all year round weed, but harvesting was a big part of it. The pickers ball was a big part of it. And anyway, it just grew, and then by sort of fourth or fifth year, the street would be blocked.
Yep.
Traffic couldn't get through, and someone wrote a story in the Herald. It was John Jiggins, I think, actually, wrote this story in the Herald saying how, look, it was in Saturday Morning's Herald. Oh, the Empire sold 2,500 joints yesterday. Hey, Sydney people freaked out. So the next year they sent the riot squad and horses and we stamped this out full on. Of course,
Mounted police, what you mean by
mounted police.
mounted
on
police.
horses,
Yeah.
Big effort.
And those, those are scary beasts, and those cops are designed to, charge crowds.
Yeah. So they thought, it's stupid bureaucracy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Down in the city, people not knowing a clue, Nimbin, or they could do anything, and, stone people. There's a riot of colour. That was about it. Anyway, by the Sunday, and we had the parade, the cops have got their jackets off, just about walking with us. That was pretty cool. So that
It's had an
happened
effect, hasn't it? Like
Yeah.
the protest, the persistence, the culture here. It just works on people, and the resistance. Like we did the annual walk down. You still do it. What did we do? We walked down to the cops. It was all arranged.
Yeah.
You've arranged it, Michael. Whereas there's an exchange of pleasantries. What our expectation is. Our intention for the weekend is peaceful. All the rest. You hand the cops some flowers.
Yeah, it was a
And
nice.
it's a
I'd
nice
been
thing.
proper olive branch.
Like that's
I
right.
like that too. Yeah, so so it's evolved over the years into a kind of the talks are big. It's really changing the drug laws is really about education, isn't it?
Yeah.
Changing, people have been told all this bullshit. Undoing it is difficult.
Yeah.
And I see still, on the last day of your inquiry, I watched the cop and the traffic guy. They might as well be in 1950.
Yeah.
They totally believe the nonsense. Cannabis, addictive, leads you to all the other drugs, psychosis. They've
Yeah.
just got one picture in there. So,
Yeah, madness, social
Yeah,
disorder,
yeah,
and you're like,
reefer
what?
madness,
I know.
still.
It's like that.
Yeah, so basically...
Their whole attitude is if you're doing drugs, there's something wrong with you.
And they're taking endone for breakfast. or
Yeah,
something.
that's right.
So Bob Dylan, interesting, everybody must get stoned. It kind of once at least to have any idea what the fuck we're talking about.
So what you did get stoned, and what about your personal journey with cannabis? Like you had a bit of an epiphany, didn't you, on
Yeah.
a bit of hash?
I didn't get stoned till late.
Yeah, that's right. You were pretty
So,
straight edge. You were
Totally straight,
stockbroker,
country boy,
stockbroker.
boarding school, that's what fucked me up. And then back on the farm, left school early, and then got restless, travelled around Australia. I'm just a drinker. Country boy, getting pissed every chance I could. So I worked for a stockbroker. They sent me to London. I'm still just drinking heaps. And I decided I was helping Swiss banks get rich. And I'd seen all these poor people, and I think, fuck, Basically, it came down to, is it dog eat dog or is there a God? I've got to work this out,
Yeah, right.
So we buy this old police van with friends, drove overland, all through the Middle East, turned right at Istanbul, went all round, came up through Iraq, into Iran, see these hippies in the caravan park, into Afghanistan, and the Kandahar caravan park. And it was an orange grove, and the caretaker, there's no hippies travelling much then. Smoke, we couldn't speak anything, so he put me on the end of his hookah. And I'm smoking Galwa's, so I was used to it. And I come out totally hallucinating. The orange grove was liquid. It's pretty awesome. So I spent the next month in Kabul just smoking hash every day. Then I went walking in the Himalayas and, went back. So,
Change your perspective.
It's difficult to explain. Total was magic for me.
Yeah.
From the first go.
There's a way you describe it that I think is really beautiful, which is like the muddy pond, the muddy water. You added the cannabis and
Suddenly
then
the water,
clarified.
the mud settles.
Yeah, the mud
And you
settles.
can see clearly.
That's for a lot of people. That's what
Does
cannabis
it
is.
settle your emotion?
Yeah, me for sure.
And then you can sort of see
You
clearly.
can go,
Anyway,
and you can see yourself go, hold on, I just had a reaction, I'm triggered or something. Yeah, it certainly makes you self-aware and better able to, manage your.
I read an old Indian
feelings.
herbal book which said, doesn't matter what your problem is, get your ganja, go off into the forest by yourself, smoke weed, think about it from a few angles. It's great thinking medicine.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the amazing thing. People who are into cannabis, they're thoughtful, they're energetic, they're considered. They're like.
It's an inner thing.
Yeah, but a lot of the time, what characterises people who are involved in cannabis is the opposite of how people are portrayed when they're on dope and on drugs, lethargic, not doing much, and for some people misuse is an issue, but for a lot of people, cannabis when they use it properly just gives them energy, gives them a capacity to operate, reduces pain, all of that. It's
Totally.
and
I get up and do stuff.
yeah, that's right. My back is like, okay, I can,
Yeah.
I can walk.
Yeah.
And the hemp embassy here, just it's an icon. It's an international icon, a beacon of common sense and information. Why did you the walls are plastered in news stories and all the rest? Whose idea was it to make a place that was so staunchly educative?
Yeah. So it was Bob Hopkins that came up with the idea for MardiGrass and the Hemp Embassy. He changed his name officially to Prohibition End, which came out on the ballot paper as End Prohibition.
Clever.
And that's people giving it. I've been praising you for your sacrifices to he was into it.
He changed his name.
People get furious
Yeah,
about
they do.
the injustice.
Yep.
This awesome plant, and suddenly I'm a criminal. So, and he asked me to be his
And a
campaign.
criminal with consequence. People, like you were talking about,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
go to jail.
Yeah, yeah.
People got beaten up. We heard again and again. It's one of the, one of those stepping stones into the criminal justice system, that conveyor belt that feeds a lot of young people, black people, and so many people in your community into a couple of years in Grafton jail. It's terrible, isn't it?
And they lose respect for the laws, all authority, the cops. We're going to respect the cops, It's all what we can get away with. There's no respect left for us. Anyway, I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, we were talking about
The Hemp Embassy.
The Hemp Embassy and, its roles and
So Bob started that. I had the museum over the road, a hippie museum, trying to show people hippie thinking.
I remember.
And we started the Hemp Embassy in one room there. Again, it was just about education. And then they built a new high school here, and the community bought the old site, now the community centre. So the youth club moved out of here, and I snapped it up. I thought, we'll rent this building, because this is one of the buildings bought by the hippies in 1973 for like a couple of $1,000. It was a closed down grocery store. The village was kind of all shut down. So that was key to Nimbin. People, early hippies bought the buildings. So deep roots here. So, it slowly built up stock. And we used to do fundraisers, trivia nights. I thought, fuck that, we'll get a shop. We'll raise some money, So...
Clever. But just the layers.
Yeah.
The history now is incredible. I think that's what really lights people up, is the fact that there's 50 years of it here. There's this depth, there's this weathering, this patina to it, where it's like clearly something people have fought for a long time for a really good reason, because, the injustice is terrible, the plant is amazing, and
The plant is amazing. Like, I'm a bit cynical about some hippie shit, but the plant is amazing. And the more you learn, the more, what an amazing plant. And no wonder it's illegal. It's so safe and so good, really. No one dies from it. In the early years, first or second years of Nimbin, they bought the land where, and then they bought an adjoining farm, and Thunderball community started. And they have a big police raid, and they brought a cattle truck they put all the hippies in a cattle truck, shipped them off to Lismore to charge them. Back in the day.
No.
Classic, yeah.
In a cattle truck.
Yeah, I love that story.
Far out, man.
I've seen
Imagine that.
I've seen him do it to blackfellas in Mount Isa. Put them all in a cattle truck.
That is outrageous.
Yeah. So it's a long time. It's 50 years ago.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Imagine that happened today.
Yeah.
People would just be going, what the fuck?
People have mobile phones now. They film stuff.
That'd go global. They're rounding up the hippies, and they're all like semi-clad and playing guitars, and they've brought their own sandwiches, But not only did the Hemp Embassy, but you're political. You're a political animal. You don't like to sort of you say, I don't know politics, and I'm
learning it.
You're learning it. Yeah, for a beginner, you're doing pretty well, Michael, because you've started a political party. The name change. We've had a couple of different.
That was big.
That was big.
That was the Queenslanders. So they registered. The true story is they registered Legalise Cannabis Queensland and said, "Oh, they did really well. We're going to start a federal party." I'm going, hang on, we can't have two. And we changed. Didn't take much convincing. We changed our name.
Well,
And
that was
great
pretty.
move.
That was pretty nimble. Great move.
move.
Because we didn't realise it for a long time how the marijuana was a pejorative, and it worked. You know, the racial they created the story about marijuana, this toxic plant that sent people mad, that the Mexicans were giving to your kids down at the primary school and were sending everyone bananas. That all the reefer madness shit from the 1920s, taking the plant back, its name, its actual, Latin name, cannabis, sativa, cannabis indica, super important. And
Must have been religious a lot. Well, we're back in 1920. It's 1926. I read because Miles has been saying 100 years. 1926, they banned it in the ACT and they banned imports of cannabis. So that's when it is 100 years. So that whole movement must have been religious a lot.
it was the temperance movement was really
big in it.
big, and they weren't just against alcohol; they were against opiates. Because back then, you could just go to the chemist and buy anything. You could buy heroin, cocaine,
All the
laudanum,
cough mixtures.
and cannabis.
And cannabis.
And that's what all these things were there. So they all lumped them all in and said all these things are bad. Force them underground. Creates a black market, and they create a bogeyman
And
out
they
of it.
get control of pain relief.
And then they get, that's exactly right. These are the things, you're not getting it all from, your apothecary or
It took me a while to sort of wake up to the whole thing. I love that book, Chasing the Scream. That was a good book. But if you think about it, pain relief is the best business on the planet.
It is.
Everyone wants to get pain-free. Everyone wants to feel good. Here's this plant, fucking plant you can grow in your back. It's like a joke.
I know.
It's like God's in a mushroom. It's like, use this plant you can grow in your backyard that pretty much will make you feel good, take your pain away, give you a good sleep.
Give you an appetite. Relax you. Relax you. Like
and
you
no
feel-
one dies.
No one dies.
That's something.
It is something.
Yeah.
Now, the party's up and registered. Where 2022 was the first year, hit out for the party. Did pretty well in Queensland. And only ran in one lower house seat.
Yeah.
This time round, it's a much bigger show.
We started with 42. That seemed good. Now we've got 41.
41. It's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think, it's definitely different. And also, you a bit part of this. Like the words, last election, I think not everyone even knew of the party. People would say to me after the election, I didn't know I could vote for you, because on the news, remember Queensland got that big run against Pauline. It made a lot of news, and people, Legalise Cannabis, didn't see that. So this time round, I reckon people know we exist.
We're running a messaging, look for the leaf.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too.
Yeah.
We've been a bit bolshy with some of our advertising. We got
I like Ned Kelly.
Ned Kelly. We got
like
Ned.
Ned.
I love Ned Kelly.
me too.
Yeah, Ned Kelly with the. I like how you got really shitty when they were going to have him with a little bud.
Shitty little leaves.
Little leaves, and you were going, he's got to be holding the whole plant. 2 whole plants.
Anyway, it works with look for the leaf.
It makes a difference. I reckon if he had Ned Kelly standing there with holding 2 leaves, it'd be like, what? It's a bit,
But if it's look for the leaf, okay. Anyway,
It ran on we got the back page of the NT News, brother.
Yeah, I love that.
How good's that?
Yeah, I love it.
We're on up in the territory.
Lance.
They love a bit of Yandy up there, mate.
Yeah.
Don't they? Lance running up there.
Yeah.
That's
probably
great.
the
It's
kid.
exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It'll be the last time he'll run, I reckon. Be in his 70s, getting on. We've got very few people handing out. And it's always been like that because of the stigma. People don't want to put their head up. People don't want to be in their local community overtly, I'm a cannabis user, pushing it. So much judgment still. So
I do bumper stickers because I love to do them and make
Yeah.
them. Like I make Legalise Cannabis bumper stickers. You can't give them. People won't put them on their cars. Because they just think they'll get pulled over and searched.
Yeah,
I tell people don't put it on your car. Put it on your laptop or your fridge or whatever. You know, there's still fear in the community, isn't there?
Huge. The driving thing's huge, man. Driving the vote a lot. Like it would be a true story that all pot smokers now. No, that's not true. Some just don't think about it. But there is that bit of anxiety you carry.
Yeah.
You got smoked this morning, you smoked last night, whatever. You know, who wants to get pulled up? Because, you know, you go down 3 months loss of licence.
Yeah.
It's big.
I've got to
big
drive
punishment.
tomorrow.
Big punishment.
Like I've had a smoke today, 420, Nimbin. Not going to have another smoke. Don't need to. That joint was really good, got to say. Woo. But I've got to drive tomorrow. So, you know.
Clean your teeth well.
Yeah.
Probably carry a Mentos in the side pocket if you get pulled over.
What I'm doing is I make a smoothie out of Mentos, Fisherman's Friends, Coca-Cola, and orange juice. Chug that.
The trouble
And
is
then gargle that and brush your teeth.
you got a
and-
chance. But anyway, as the police say, the test is unreliable.
I know.
That's why we do a second test.
I know.
And then they don't tell you they send it for the third test.
Yeah.
And like that's anything over 5 nanograms.
I know.
So that's 5 parts per billion. So you know I got busted in the street here. And I hadn't had a joint for at least an hour, okay? And I hadn't even got out of the car. I stopped in the disabled park thing and a mate ran in, you know, so the copper pulls me, gives me a test. I come up positive, so he arrests me, takes me to Lismore. Well, I have to do the second test, you know, and he sends off 30, so sure enough, I'm positive. So I say to the lawyers, I'm not guilty, I want to fight this, you know. So I go, not guilty, so they give you the result. So you're only allowed 5 nanograms. I had 1,200. And I hadn't smoked a joint for an hour. How stupid is it? So I say to the lawyer, this is going to make them look stupid, you know. The copper says, I don't look in bed. And they go, no, Michael, we're not doing this. They'll lock you up. It sounds terrible. They wouldn't do it. I should have done it.
Well, but you'd have I reckon you'd have the highest tolerance to cannabis, you know. One of the highest tolerances of cannabis in all of Nimbin.
You do get a tolerance.
You get a tolerance.
Yeah. No,
That's what the doctors say. Or if you're a novel user, the first 2 weeks you might feel a bit wonky or nauseous or whatever, or a bit paranoid or something. But after a while, it settles in. You know how much you need, when you need it, all the rest of it, and it's about as impairing as a coffee.
And I reckon same as pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you first, I don't do it, but I know lots of people, got to get used to your medication, blah, 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 blah. It's exactly the same. Because for me, smoking a big joint in the morning, I'll be settled down. My pond, the mud settles, I'm good and clear. Whereas a new guy having 2 beers, first joint, going to be dangerous. So it's got to be about impairment.
I do think that you're going to have to settle down. Like people will have to accept. I think initially too that you can't have any blood alcohol. You know, your blood. Like I reckon the government might come for that. Say you know if you want to drive as a medicinal cannabis patient, you can't have any blood alcohol either. So you can't mix them. They might come at that.
I don't mind that.
You know, that's something they might do. That's something we'd have to think about. But, that's the driving thing is huge. And this community, Nimbin, gets the shit policed out of it, doesn't it? We just had the 420 that just before, like, the RDT rolled through town. Were they leaving or were they setting up on the other side of town?
They were leaving, I reckon, which is a great sign.
Yeah.
But they used to stay late at night, and I think, you know, they're backing off a bit. Trouble is they've got a quota of like 200,000 tests they're meant to do every year or something stupid.
Crazy.
Yeah, they couldn't do it last year, remember?
And what's the future hold, mate? Like, what do you see?
Well, we're banking on you changing the driving laws. And I reckon we'll get what they did in Victoria, I imagine, where if you've got a prescription, you know, with a bit of luck, then you don't look impaired, the cops will be cool with it. But it's still not good enough because we're going to be allowed to grow 6 plants. We've got to smoke them.
Yeah.
So it's a first step. So
what about the idea of a non-enforcement zone or a special cannabis area?
I love it. You floated that in your drug summit thing, and I love it. And
So
I'm
you
a bit
could, you,
nervous talking about it, but I do think the police are even slowly doing it with Nimbin. We're an outdoor hospital here.
yeah.
People.
It's
people,
a mix of
yeah.
tourism, like,
Well, we're a hospital that
sanitarium.
attracts tourists.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, and someone, we had a sticker here. Someone said we're this outdoor free range psychiatric clinic, and I do think I've realised after a while, if you love weed, it's because of a reason. A lot of PTSD, a lot of trauma, and it just settles that mud again. And I think, because of the tolerance and we support each other and no one judges you for smoking weed here, we've attracted pot smokers forever. So there's all these sort of traumatised people dealing with using weed. We're kind of this outdoor weed hospital, I reckon.
Yeah.
So the cops have appreciated that for a long time. And if they come and raid us or people go in the pub and get pissed, it's a fucking nightmare. People just want to change their mind. Anything, give me a break, So that hasn't happened for a while now. And medical cannabis was the change, gave them an excuse to leave us alone, really. And now, they pull up a few people and they pull out their legal weed. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So the change is here.
It is. And you look like the non-enforcement zone, you could pick like a couple of councils, Byron, Ballina, Lismore, as a North Coast zone, non-enforcement, and we see how things go.
What's that mean? It means, and
It
if
means
your
it's
behaviour's okay, leave people alone.
Yeah, essentially, exactly. It's like, let's not police this law and see what happens in this area.
Yeah.
And let's see just what happens to it. How much it saves us in money, how the community responds, what's the change. Highly likely to be zero change. Just basically.
Well, it's changed in Nimbin, and
Yeah.
so I go to the regular police community meetings.
But pretty much open cannabis
We've
use.
had no police.
Yeah, exactly.
We've hardly had any
people
police
being able
for
to
6
sell
months.
and give weed away, growing cannabis, personal amounts for themselves and to gift, and the cops not actually going out and looking. Stop the helicopter raids.
That would be good.
Because if they're going after huge crops, they're spotting those things from satellite and intelligence. They don't go out and go, look, what's in those tunnels over there? It's 20,000 dope plants. Someone tells them. So their cannabis eradication program should just go, okay, we'll go over the large, commercial operations. Fair enough, but in terms of policing the homegrown, community shared, personal cannabis and the RDT, look, the way they are, I think they could change.
It'd be hard for them to let go of the choppers, I reckon. But people will grow heaps of weed straight away. And which I'd be totally happy about. Just let it be.
Yeah.
But I think, there's got to be a balance there somehow.
Yeah, but they'd also be able to go, right, how'd the economy go? Like did the hardware store all of a sudden, double in size, and the farm machinery places selling tractors, and does the economy get going?
Well, I'll tell you the difference here is I think the street's been better. Less violence, less drama, less pressure. People, as soon as the cops are around, there's anxiety.
I know. If this
Leave
was
us alone,
and imagine this was Oktoberfest. Everyone was here, just having 27 cans of beer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you'd have to have security, like hundreds. The security here is just, the crowd just going, hey, everyone, just fucking relax.
Community, and Nimbin looks after itself.
Yeah.
Heaps. If you leave us alone, everyone looks after itself.
Well, I think that's the plan, mate. Just a non-enforcement zone. Get the government over the line on that. So, look, here we did it. It worked. They've done it in Canada. They've done it in Denmark. They've done it in Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's a good plan.
And they've done it in like suburbs of, districts in New York too. They just go, look, let's stop hassling people about this, So, mate, exciting. We're about an hour away from election results coming in, mate.
I know. I'm looking forward to tonight.
Oh, it's so exciting. We're going to try and get the TV going, the Wi-Fi.
What is the time?
I think it's like 5:13. So we're 45 minutes away.
There's only a few votes left.
Yeah, that's it. It's like
Miles surely hasn't blown it. He'll be good.
there might be a live cross to Miles tonight. He could be a senator. We better get him. I hope he's not totally wasted.
He won't be far.
Miles Hunt live. Your first day on the job, and you're at the Nimbin HEMP Embassy.
So how do you reckon we'll go? I was impressed that we got almost exactly 500,000 votes in the last election across the country. That was pretty good.
I think we'll get more than 1 million votes.
That's huge.
I think we'll get 1 million
That's
votes.
a prediction.
I hope that we get about 5% across the country.
That'd be incredible.
That'd be a good result.
That's
I hope in Victoria to get elected. I think we need about 6 or 7%.
Yeah, okay.
In Victoria.
Big call.
Paying out $5 for a win for Senate at the moment.
For Legalise Cannabis, yeah, $5. So last election we were 42. So we've come in a long way. We're a smoky for sure. But it'll be interesting. I think Albo's going to win the election.
Yeah.
I think he'll do it with either a slim majority, like 1 or 2 seat majority, or he'll have to rely on like 2 or 3 independents.
Yeah.
And he's going to have he's going to have about 15 of them. The Greens, probably 2, 3, 4 Greens, probably 10 to 15 independents. And he'll need like 3 of them. But if we can break through in Victoria, it'd be a huge deal.
Yeah, it would be.
You would have...
They'd have to take it seriously.
Oh, like it would be like that's international news. That'd be international cannabis news.
Yeah.
I don't know. In actual fact, I reckon it'd be the first time that a cannabis MP would be elected to a national body.
Yeah. Well, you guys were first on it. I think there hasn't been another political party.
Hasn't there?
Not with just weed.
No, not really. Fucking
not elected.
Not elected.
No.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You're a rare bird, man.
Jeez, well done, us. It's surprising, man. That, like, I didn't
well,
know
it shows how far behind we are in Australia that we've got to make a political party and we are the easygoing country.
Yeah.
Chill out, mate. Relax, you know.
I met a guy
She'll
today.
be right, mate.
I know. I met a guy today from Martinique. And Martinique, Caribbean island, just one of the most beautiful places in the world. And he was just going, I love Australia. The vibe, people are laid back. They're just like, how you
We're
going?
natural pot smokers.
Yeah, just laid back. And it's a massive part of the culture. Really is a gigantic part of our culture. Just chilling out. That's what they don't understand, mate, is it? It's a working class drug. It's the drug of the people.
Yeah.
It really is. People go, oh, it's
I would
beer. But if people had a choice, I reckon in Australia, so many more would go with pot.
It's much healthier.
Yeah, it is.
I know you like beer. I love tequila a little bit with my orange juice, make it a healthy product. But I do think weed, I watch lots of people come here for healing. Weed, alcohol belts you around.
Yeah, it does.
If you, regularly drinking belts you, whereas weed, fucking old hippies here, they didn't smoke spin with it. They're powering along.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, mixing with tobacco is bad news.
Not a good habit.
No.
Yeah.
The other thing that's happening, actually, you raised tobacco, is the fact that they've made tobacco so expensive that there's this massive illegal tobacco market. They've banned vapes. They've banned vapes.
Yeah, I thought that was
the offensive
dimples.
I know the offences for vapes and tobacco are as serious as the crime and the punishment are as serious as cannabis. And all the cops are doing this policing because all the crime gangs, because our drug enforcement agencies and border force and all that customs weren't set up for illegal tobacco and vapes coming in. And
it's easy to make rules and huge fines that you got to have people enforcing it.
Go and enforce it.
Yeah.
And so so the choice for them is okay, go and enforce that, but they can't do pot as well. That's one of the things. And so that's one of our arguments. Take that off the table.
And it's really interesting to me people aren't joining the cops too.
Yeah.
I mean, really, hell of a job.
Yeah.
You might get shot in Sydney.
Yeah.
And they've smoked weed.
Yeah. I live in inner Sydney and you see the cops charging around a lot. There's a lot of problems with, people with
What a shitty job.
yeah,
mate.
mental health problems out in
Yeah.
public on the
Hello.
street, and there's gang crime and organised crime.
Yeah, well, I'm blaming the drug war for heaps of all that stuff.
It is.
Heaps and heaps of it.
It's absolute. Like, they need to take some heat out of it, and take some of the cash flow
Yeah.
out of the crime gangs. It's this
hello.
startup model. I know. Like, I've said that to a few. I said that to a crime journal I was talking to last week, and he just goes, "Oh no, I don't accept that." And I'm like, "Really? You don't think that being able to go and grow, $300,000 worth of weed in a house in 3 months isn't going to supercharge their criminal enterprise? They go and buy meth or guns or stolen car, whatever."
It's like people can't think beyond it. Oh no, it's only been going 100 years. It's a short time in history for weed.
For weed.
Yeah.
For the thousands of years we've used it, mate. Well, look, you have been
Are
going.
you going into the joint rolling? You're going to enter the joint rolling hemp Olympics event?
I wouldn't want to embarrass myself, mate. Like, I'm a bit of a fumbler. I'm a bit of a pedant. I like to make a 3 paper and burn it back. And
This is 3 papers in a filter.
Is it 3? Like, I can do a trumpet, but I can do a good trumpet.
I'll send you in there.
But no, but it takes about 45 minutes.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Nice work. Hey, you should be in there filming in the town hall now. Joint rolling. Nice. Lovely having you here in the hemp bar.
This is a
Truly.
great space,
Yeah, it's
man.
a good spot.
It's crazy. The mural's just so beautiful in the screen, and like, it's just crazy. And the
5 years, Spain.
and the vibe. It's nice and cozy in here near the coffee machine, and the hubbub behind. And there's been no hassle. I've been here like for 2 days, full time. There hasn't been an argument. Everyone's just come in.
It's a big night in here tonight. It's all happening.
Yeah, got the election. Got the TV going.
No, I was talking about Geelong Collingwood. What? No.
Michael Balderstone, it's an absolute privilege, mate, and a pleasure to be your friend, to be your comrade in this campaign to legalise cannabis. Thank you so much for everything you've done, for taking me under your wing. Really appreciate it, mate. Thanks for coming into the weeds, brother. Remember, folks, like, subscribe, share, do all the shit for more on Into the Weeds.